Hey there. You know me as Sjöfors. If you listen to some of my earlier videos, I've said many times that it's a weird name that makes perfect sense in my native Sweden, and that maybe it's better to remember me as the Price Whisperer. Why is that? Well, I was called the Price Whisperer so many times that I decided to adopt the moniker and use that as a descriptor of me. So today, though, we're going to talk about go-to-market strategy, and you may think, what has that to do with the pricing? Well, I mean, pricing is pricing. Pricing strategy is pricing strategy, and what does this has to do with go-to-market strategy? Well, you have to have your prices roughly right, to be successful with your go-to-market strategy. But the fact is that pricing, when you look at it from a holistic point of view, has everything to do with pricing, with go-to-market strategy. And that is really because you have to take that. First of all, let's establish this. Pricing is where the rubber meets the road. Pricing is where your customers are going to buy or they're not going to buy. At the end of the day, everything you have done in your company, from product development, service definitions, from marketing, marketing messages, select marketing channels, your sales methodology, your sales messages, your price, of course, is all of that leads up to a buying decision that is yes or no. It's yes or no. It's not, well, maybe, which is the same as a no, or later, which is the same as a no. So you either sell or you don't. And everything you do in your company, like I said, starting with the product or the service, how you market it, how you sell it, and so forth, leads to that one point, which is price. So how does then this leads to go-to-market strategy? Well, first off, you really need to know the customer profile that for you is going to lead to the highest sales volume and the highest revenue. How do you know? Well, you can test, of course. That's a very lengthy process, and it's often very inconclusive. But you can test, or you can actually go out in the market. You can measure what different customer profiles are willing to pay, right? So once you have that measurement, and you can define your different customer profiles, and I'm talking here both B2B or B2C customer profiles. Once you know that, then you can. Then you know where to focus your marketing and focus your sales efforts and so forth. But there's more to this. So, okay, now you know your most, a customer profile that will lead to higher sales volume than another customer profile. But this is under the assumption that you use one marketing message and one marketing channels, maybe a couple of marketing channels. And what you really want to do is you want to test, or you don't want to test. Assuming that you're testing, you're testing half a dozen marketing messages, half a dozen marketing channels, and you need to know how all of these affect what people are willing to pay, so that you can understand which marketing channels, which messages for which customer target group is going to lead to the highest willingness to pay, and therefore support higher prices. And higher prices you want, because the higher prices you have, the more profitability you have in your company, and obviously not profits for its own sake, but profits that you can feed back into the company to more product development, making sure that you become more competitive, more marketing, and so forth. hire the best people because you can afford it, and so forth. So now we have a customer profile, we have some marketing messages, some marketing channels, and then you need to look at this from a product standpoint or a service definition standpoint as well. What are the product or service features, I should say, features, functions, and benefits that lead to the highest sales volume and the highest revenue, right? And is that going to be different for different customer segmentations group, right? You need to know which of these customer segments are most effective in a positive way by your different product or service features based on their willingness to pay to support highest possible prices at the highest possible sales volume. And then finally you get to the sales methodology. Are you going to sell direct? Are you going to use channels? Are you going to sell online? Are you going to sell brick and mortar? Are you going to send out your salespeople to knock door? I mean, what different sales methodologies? How are they all going to affect the revenues, the willingness to pay, and resulting revenues you get from the various customer segments, right? You need to know. Or you're going to test? Well, you shouldn't, you know. And then finally, of course, we have the pricing strategy. What stratified pricing strategy is going to lead you to minimize sales friction and maximize the revenues that you're getting, right? So here we have a situation where you want to start with a bunch of customer segments, say 6 of them. Then you're going to then if you, and I'm saying here in the testing case, you know, so say 6 customer segments defined in some way, profiles, personas, whatever you want to call them. And you're going to try 4 different marketing channels, and each channel is going to have 6 different messages. You're then going to try with 6 different product features, functions, half a dozen benefit statements. You're going to try maybe 3 different sales channels, 3 different sales methodologies, 6 different sales messages, and then maybe half a dozen different prices. You test that, you end up with 10,000 combinations, right? By the time you're done testing, the life has moved on, and whatever the product or service that you were trying to find the market for isn't there anymore because it's moved on. You missed the boat, right? So the better way to do it is simply to understand this from a holistic point of view. Understand not by testing, but by measuring what customer profiles lead to the highest revenue. By measuring what features and functions lead to the highest revenue. By measuring what marketing channels and messages leads to the highest revenue. By measuring what sales channels and methodologies and messages leads to the highest revenue, and in the end, what pricing strategy that's probably going to be stratified in some way minimize friction and leads to the highest sales volume and revenue. And that's a go-to-market strategy that is based on 2 things. It's based on hard data, and it's based on what the market, which are not your current customers, although they may be included, but it's the entire possible market, the entire addressable market, and how much they are willing to pay for the various features, functions, messages, and so forth. A whole market, go-to-market strategy from pricing. right? Actually, not from pricing, but from understanding and measuring willingness to pay that leads to pricing. It leads to the best product, the most optimal customer segmentation, the most effective marketing channels and messages, the most effective sales channels and sales messages, and the pricing strategy that minimize friction and maximize the maximize revenue and sales volume. So pretty comprehensive stuff, right? But this is what you really need to take your company to the next level. You know, just doing some testing here and there is not going to work. You know, you need to have that comprehensive understanding of a price-based go-to-market strategy, because that is really what's going to make a big difference for your company. So anyway, I hope this was interesting for you, and maybe it was a little new way of looking at things that I hope you appreciate. And I want to say thank you for your time, and we'll see you next time. Thank you much.